Good morning and welcome to Rising. We've got a great show for you today. Brian, what do we have?
Brian Charles is joining us to discuss how a new focus on bringing Baltimore residents into city budgeting could inform the national defund the police movement. Then Jennifer Holdsworth-Karp and Rachel Bovard join us on the panel to break down the ratcheting up of tensions between House Representatives Ilhan Omar and Lauren Boebert.
But first, Chris Cuomo is in the proverbial hot seat after new records show the CNN host was actively in touch with a top aide to then New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, his brother, about incoming reports that detailed alleged sexual harassment by his brother that he used his own sources to help get information. The new documents were released Monday by the Office of the New York Attorney General, Letitia James, which led the investigation into allegations against the former governor. CNN announced Monday that it would review the records, which include a cache of new documents and transcripts of interviews with investigators. Some of the information revealed includes reports that 3 days after the New York Times March reporting Andrew Cuomo attempted to kiss a woman, Anna Rausch, at a wedding, Chris Cuomo texted Cuomo's aide saying, quote, "I have a lead on the wedding girl." Also in March, DeRosa texted Chris Cuomo, rumor going around from Politico, 1 to 2 more people coming out tomorrow. Can you check your sources? The CNN primetime host responded, on it. So this is more pervasive involvement than he suggested before. He said previously that he listened to what his brother had to say and gave him his take, and that he shouldn't have done that anyway, but it was not extensive. But this sounds more extensive.
Right. There's a realm in which you could say, like, look, just from a human being perspective, your brother's under the gun. He wants to talk to you brother to brother, and you hear him out, and you listen, and you tell him, "Buck up, man," or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
The whole thing's weird. The Cuomo interviewing the Cuomo, all that. But setting that aside, you can understand on some human level where there could be some range of his involvement with his brother in this crisis that would be understandable from a human perspective. None of this is that.
No, well, absolutely.
Right?
There's not. I think it's weird when people should not have to ritualistically denounce their family members.
Right, yes.
It doesn't bother me or surprise me. It truly doesn't bother me that he wanted to defend his brother, that he took his brother's side. That's what families do. That's fine. The weird part of it is that he's the host of this important and influential primetime news show during a series of crises extensively involving his brother, a government figure, and that. There was no way to navigate those waters, but if he was going to try to remain in the news gathering job, he had to have a cleaner lack of involvement with his brother, and he clearly didn't.
Right, and precisely because he had this high profile, or has actually still, this high profile position in the media, he had access to media sources that could be useful to DeRosa, his hatchet woman, who is trying to navigate this situation for him. So she'd say, okay, here's what I've picked up from reporters who are asking me for comment or whatever. Can you check this out? And so then he goes and uses his media resources to help them out, and also offering strategic advice and how to frame statements, and but generally using his position of influence to exclusively benefit his brother, all of which is made so much more relevant by the fact that he actively decided to have these nightly segments with his brother during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, and he'd bring his brother on and he'd interview his brother. So he had already broken those norms, but to do it in a way that benefited his brother, helped him win an Emmy, helped him get a $5 million book deal, helped him get floated as a presidential candidate. But then the second he's under the gun, he says, well, obviously I'm going to recuse myself from covering this. If you can tell your viewers that you are going to recuse yourself from covering the issue, then you can tell Melissa DeRosa that you're recused from helping her do her, bagwoman job.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. CNN never should have allowed him interviewing his own brother on television.
Right. They did it for the ratings.
Yeah.
People, the viewers dug it, and they're like, well, viewers like this. Let's do a little more of this. So, do you think he survives?
I don't know. He has thus far. CNN's put out a statement saying that they're going to look into this. I don't know. I don't know on one hand, I'm not sure what he brings to the table. He's not, I don't mean to pile on the guy. I don't think he's the most informed host. I find his commentary often extremely bad. So I don't know why they have to retain him. He's not the Tucker Carlson of the network or the Rachel Maddow of the network, right? Am I wrong in that, in thinking that?
They must think that, I guess. But nobody else.
He's not the Anderson Cooper of the network. Anderson Cooper's the Anderson Cooper of the network, or Jake Tapper, or whatever.
Right, he's not even the Wolf Blitzer. So last night, Chris Cuomo did appear on his show, but he did not address the new information from his brother's investigation. Although Don Lemon, as Tucker says, likes to call him, had some kind words for him. Let's take a look.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you, brother.
I know you had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you did. I missed you. I am grateful for your friendship and your love. I think that you are fantastic. One of the kindest people I know on this planet. There you go. I meant every word.
Well, I am thankful for you in my life. It was great to see you having a good time.
And Andrew Cuomo did respond. I'll read a little bit of his statement.
The governor, not Chris Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo.
Yes, the governor, former Governor Cuomo. His spokesperson says, to the surprise of no one, Tish James continues abusing her government power to leverage her political future. Today's manipulated release of hand-picked witness testimony with selective redactions is typical. What's amazing there is Andrew Cuomo, he feels like he has trademarked the idea of leveraging your office to screw over your rivals and benefit yourself politically.
Only he gets to do that.
And he is absolutely appalled that someone would do something remotely in the same ballpark. I did a radar on how Tish James became Attorney General several months ago that people could go back and check because they will understand this dynamic a bit more. She initially ran for office solo on the Working Families Party ticket. She was the first WFP-only elected council member in the city. Cuomo then has a massive feud with the WFP. When Tish James decides she wants to run for Attorney General, he comes to her and says, look, I will endorse you and give you access to my fundraising network. The only condition is that you cannot run as a fusion candidate with the WFP. In fact, you have to publicly reject the WFP endorsement. Like the people that brought you here. It was like some gangland stuff. And if she refuses that, then the implicit side is, well, and I will destroy you. And so he thought that he had somebody in his pocket because she took the deal. She's like, okay, fine. And she publicly rejected, her party's endorsement and wins. What he didn't understand is that what that did is it must have created an extraordinary amount of resentment. Like, who do you think you are? Forcing me into this.
On a related note, I mean, this dynamic shows the problem with nepotism, or with having the journalist class draw from the political class, and vice versa. And like the Cuomos they're a legacy, they're a dynasty. Right. So to have the people responsible for reporting on the misdeeds of the government officials be people who are related by blood to the government officials, gets you into trouble. It gets you into a place where you're not going to get honest coverage.
Right. And like you said, they're both the sons of Mario Cuomo.
Right.
It's just passed down. Our glorious meritocracy somehow has elevated Chris Cuomo to the...
I mean, it does in our industry. Sometimes it feels like everyone in an editor role or reporter role is, how'd you get that job? Oh, wait, that's your last name. Or you're related to some congressman or something.
Yes. Whenever in the media industry there's a last name that you recognize, you can assume it's because of the reason that you recognize it.
Yeah.
Until you've learned otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And some of those people do great reporting, but it creates issues. It creates conflicts, and it makes it harder to trust them.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, we will tell you what's on our radars up next.